yes, you're homesick, yes, you're far away from family, but a child of God is a missionary wherever the Lord sends him or her. So if the Lord... Hi ladies, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're doing fine. For all of you who are on vacation, happy vacation. And for all of you who are coming back to school, welcome back. Now the month of June, we're looking at international SSU, meaning all international students out there. And we're talking today on homesickness, and I was an international student myself, so I will use my experience and hopefully encourage any of you out there. So like I say, I used to be an international student before, and I remember I was 17 and a half when I first left left home. And this time around, I would, in the past I used to leave home, but it was just temporary. But this time around, I left home for college in Canada, and my family was here in the States, and I was 17 and a half. And you can totally imagine how, oh my goodness, I can still remember that, how scary it was to, you're 17 and a half, you're going to a new country, new people, everything is new. Bless the Lord, I was living on campus, so that helped a little bit, not commuting to school. So 17 and a half, I'm doing everything by myself, opening a bank account, doing the groceries, doing the laundries, all the things I used to take for granted, now I'm doing it myself. So it's just like, oh my goodness. So I would cry. Yes, I would cry all the time, especially the first few months. I would just cry and cry and cry and cry. There's nothing like home. So it was really difficult to just try do new things alone, look for courses, go to school and do this. Wow, it was difficult. A lot of people say that you don't have to talk too much to your family because it will just increase that homesickness feeling. But I think I would say it's kind of a combination of two. I needed to talk a lot to my family, and I also needed not to talk a lot to my family. The reason why I needed to talk a lot to my family, because I'm blessed to have a born-again family, a born-again Christian family. So on one hand, it helps to have that Christian counsel, to have advices from the Lord, and also on another hand, I needed to also focus on what I was doing there, so not to be distracted with home and whatever they were doing. I got myself involved in activities. I would suggest that to anyone. Even if you're not a talkative person and you're not a sociable person, you have to do what you have to do. You have to get involved with others if you really want to develop yourself and grow, because you're in a new country. It's also a new experience for you. So I was involved in a club on campus. Local churches. I attended a local church outside of school, which helped. When holidays came, I would come home for Christmas time, so that was good. But for other holidays like Thanksgiving or spring break, because I couldn't come back for that, I had to just, entertain myself. Like I say, you have to do what you have to do. For example, for Thanksgiving, when I moved out of campus and I was living in an apartment on my own, for Thanksgiving I would just cook chicken and just play some music, have something to drink, and just entertain myself, because you have to find a way to survive, or even better way to live. So just entertain myself and just do what I have to do. Quick survival tips. My survival tips for when you're dealing with homesickness: first, you have to admit that it is okay to feel homesick. Some friends might tell you that, oh no, you've grown, how can you still miss family? But it's normal, especially for us ladies. We need that support. We need, especially if you're close to your family, it's normal to feel homesick. I'll tell you ladies, even in my 4th year of college, I was still homesick. I wasn't as, the pressure wasn't as strong as in the beginning, but there were still some moments in my senior year when I was like, I feel like I want to go back home, or I want to be with my family members. There's still that need to be with family. So number one, you have to admit that it is okay to be homesick, no matter how long it takes. You will always feel lonely. Number two, for me, I use that opportunity to also grow in the Lord. That was the time, you know, I thought to myself, you know what, I don't have a lot of close friends around, but God is going to be my friend. So that was the time when I started fasting, I started praying more, started praising more, reading more of the Bible, because I just wanted to occupy that time. And it's important to develop in the Lord during that time, because when you're at home, you usually are distracted. You know, there are friends, family, things. There are a lot of distractions. But when you are alone in school, that's the time when you can grow actually in the Lord. And even if you look in the Bible, Joseph, the son of Jacob, needed that time alone. Remember when he was sold out by his brothers, he had to spend that time alone in Egypt to really grow in the Lord before becoming the prime minister. If we see the Lord Jesus, he needed to spend those 40 days in the desert fasting before he could start his ministry. If you see King David, he needed to be away from his family when he was being chased by King Saul. He needed that period to grow in the Lord before he could become king of Israel. And if you also see Abraham needed to leave his family in order to fulfill the purpose, his destiny, and be the father of all nations. So when you see the pattern in the Bible, people always leave their home in order to develop their relationship in the Lord before accomplishing great things for the Lord. Use that time to also serve the Lord. Yes, you are homesick. Yes, you feel alone, but it's not all about you. You also have to look at others that are out there that might be in need. You know, sometimes we just focus too much on ourselves that we forget that there are others right next to us that need our help. For me, I had a lot of classmates, a lot of friends at school that were in need of the Lord. I mean, they were involved in their religions, but I would just see that if I could be the light in their lives, if I could help them, if I could serve them, that would help them, you know, even if they were not going to become Christian, but at least they could see the love of Christ through me. So a child of God is missionary wherever the Lord sends him or her. So if the Lord send me to that country, send you to this school, you have to use that opportunity to also reach out, to also serve others. Last but not least, survival tip is stay pure, ladies. Have self-control, and that's what I want to say. Stay pure, have self-control, because when you're alone, when you feel like you just want to go back home, you feel like, oh, I just need to be with family members, that's when the devil comes into your life and brings all kinds of temptation. One of the temptation I had for me is, why can't I just get a boyfriend? I mean, there was a lady, there was a girl in the dorms when I used to live in the dorms. She was an international student too, and when she was moving out of campus, I was like, oh, you know, you're an international student. I mean, do you have anybody to help you out? How are you gonna manage, you know, moving out your stuff to your new apartment? And she's like, oh, you know what? You know, when I first came here, I was so alone, but then I got a boyfriend, and it really helped because my boyfriend has a car, and he takes me, you know, wherever I want to go. I want to do grocery shopping. He takes me all these places, and he helps me out. So he's gonna help me out when I'm gonna move out. And I'm like, aww. So I looked at her, I was like, this is what I need, you know. And so the temptation was there, and like, maybe I should get a boyfriend so I would not feel alone, so I would have someone to help me out, so I would have someone to take me for groceries. When I'm moving out of campus, I would have someone to take me, you know, to help me carry out stuff. So there are temptations like that come in. Another thing, when I was living on campus, every Thursday night on campus, we had what they call the pub nights. Yeah, pub nights were on Thursday nights, meaning you go to the pub, you go to the club, and we actually on campus had a club. So every Thursday night, all the dorms would be emptied. Most of the students will go to the pub to pub night because they just wanted, you know, have a good time. And I would be left to know. I wouldn't say I was alone, because I'm sure there were probably 1 or 2 students that were left, but for me, I was like, if I could only go to pub night, I would have such a good time, meet new friends, do this, do that, and here am I, I'm just here. I'm just here not doing anything. And that's when in Peter, 1 Peter 2:16, I love that passage which say, do not use your freedom as a cover-up for evil. I mean, I could use that excuse and say, you know what, Lord, because I'm alone, I can do X, Y, and Z. Because I'm alone, I can go to the pub night. Because I'm alone, I can get a boyfriend. That could be my cover-up for sin because I have an excuse. But the Apostle Peter says, do not use your freedom as a cover-up for sin. So you need to stay pure. You need to have self-control. Yes, you're dealing with homesickness, but you still need to be you still need to have discernment. You need to know, to be aware of what you're doing and make sure that because you're homesick, it's not giving you license to do things that are not of God, that are not led by the Holy Spirit. I'm sure I may have some other survival tips, but at least those 4 are the top ones that really helped me navigate my way through college. So I hope I was an inspiration to any of you international students or any of you who are living away from family. So as always, stay blessed and take care, ladies. Bye.